Hey there, this is a video for my Essential Math Grade 12s. We are doing a home finance review today because we're testing lessons 1 to 4. I think I accidentally might have either said or put on the blog that we're testing 1 to 5. That was a lie. It's only 1 to 4. So let's start by trying this question. We're going to work on it together in class and then we're going to go over it together. Now let's see. This takes a couple of calculations. This might be 2 marks. This might be only 1 mark. Oh, this will probably be 2 marks. C will be 1 mark. D will be 1 mark. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 marks. When you're doing a test, a mark a minute's a good pace. So we'll give you a couple of minutes of cushion there, maybe. Maybe we'll give you well, let's try doing it in 6 minutes. We don't need a cushion. So here we go. I'm going to set my timer to 6 minutes, and the guys in class are going to try to do this question in 6 minutes, and we're going to go over it. Ready? On your mark, get set, and remember, you get to use your book. So you take out your amortization tables. On your mark, get set, go. I'll pause the video for you guys at home. You can try the question at home. Yep. Okay. All right. Calculate the monthly mortgage payment. Here it is. And my mortgage payment is, oh, I guess before I do the calculating, there's a little first calculation I got to do. Am I paying for a $310,000 mortgage? No, because what do I have to do with that number first? Subtract the down payment. So when I do that, I get $240,000. So that's the number. So I'd give you 1 mark just for that. If this was a real test, that's a mark there. So that's one of the reasons why this is a 2-mark question, I think. So $240,000, and the formula is divide by 1,000 and times by my table value. So I got to go look that up. 6.75 for 15 years on this chart. Where is that amortization table? There it is. So yeah, that would be, so 6.75 is down here, 6.75 for 5, 10, 15 years. That's the number I want, 8.8. So go back to here, and that's the number I need, 8.8. And when I type that through my calculator, I won't make you watch me punch buttons. Is this what you got? Double check that I didn't goof this up. Okay, so there we go. So that's our monthly mortgage payment. That's like a 2-mark question. Probably 1 mark for getting to this number and 1 mark for doing this right. If you had the right things, but maybe you looked up this table number wrong, I'd only take off half a mark for that probably. Now, how much will they pay in interest on the first month? How do I calculate that? Well, I use the PERT formula. And again, what number is how much am I borrowing from the bank again? I'm not borrowing $310,000. I'm borrowing $240,000. So 240, 1, 2, 3 times the rate. Is this the rate? No. It's the actual interest rate from the question. But remember, in math, you can't work with a percent. You have to change it to a decimal. Right? You just move the decimal 2 places. And who remembers what we did for time in this formula? We used 1 over 12 because interest rates are always per year from a bank, but you only want it for a 1/12 of the year because you want a monthly payment. So I ran that through my calculator, and again, make sure that your number agrees with mine. I got 1350. So that's probably a 2-mark question. 1 for realizing which formula to use, and then 1 for doing it right. And if you had the right numbers, but say you punched buttons wrong or something, I'd only take off half a mark. For C, principal. This is only a 1-mark question because all I got to do is take my monthly payment minus how much goes to interest. And that's going to be $762. Don't forget to put dollar signs on final answers, right? Now, what is the new unpaid balance of the mortgage? Well, again, this isn't the mortgage, this number. That's how much the house cost. $240 is the mortgage. So I started out with a mortgage of $240,000, and this principal payment now brings down how much I owe. So I owe, if I did this right, $239,238. Any questions on how we did that? Okay, I think number 2 is actually, it seems like almost the same question. It's actually slightly shorter, and it's a little bit different. That's why it's a, why ask us the same question twice? No, because this one's a little bit different. So for this question, oh, did I go too fast? There you go. Okay, for the next question, Gerald borrowing, I think this time I'll give the class 5 minutes. Okay, so for number 2, let's see if we can do it in 5 minutes. Ready? Okay, so guys at home watching this, try this question, give yourself 5 minutes, and then turn the video back on. And we're back. Okay, so mortgage payment is easier than this question because you don't have to worry about that whole down payment thing. It says this is how much, and my pen's not on. This is how much Gerald borrows. So it's 200,000, so mortgage payment, monthly payment, divide by 1,000, times, and I looked up the table number this time, and the number I got this time was 5.53. Is that the number you used? Yes, all good. So I did the number crunching, and I got $1,106. Now, calculate the total amount of mortgage payments made over the 25-year mortgage. So we pay that every month, so there's 12 months in a year, for 25 years. Is that what you did? If you did, you got $331,800. That might be a 1-mark question. All you have to do is times by 12 and times by 25. Now, hey, it's asking for interest again. Do I use the PERT formula? No. In fact, the PERT formula won't work here because that's the simple interest formula, and interest is calculated on a 25-year mortgage using 2 things, compounding and amortization. So, no, the PERT formula will only let you figure out a month-by-month payment. As soon as there's compoundings involved, PERT don't work, and the compound interest formula is way more complicated, and even that wouldn't be enough to do this. So there's got to be a different way. How do I figure out how much interest I've paid? Well, think about it. I paid $331,800 in payments, and I only borrowed $200,000. So it's just a simple subtract for this question. So that's all. So that's probably only going to be another 1-mark question maybe. And that's the answer you should have got. All right, I'm actually going to skip number 3. It's basically the same question that we just did in parts B and C here. I'll just jot down the answer. You could try it yourself for homework if you want to help you study tonight. The final answer should be $45,589.20 and pen dying and 20 cents. So you could just jot that down and try that one yourself later. We'll skip number 3. I want to move on to number 4. Okay, so there you go. There's the answer for 3. By the way, the answer key's up on the blog too if you want. And number 4, Chad just bought a house that he and 2 friends live in while attending college. Chad borrowed $83,000 amortized over 20 years at an annual rate of 9%. All 3 college students will split the mortgage payments equally. I'll give you, calculate the portion each will pay. I'll give you 2 minutes to try this one. Ready? On your mark, get set, go. And we're back. And, okay, Chad and his friends getting a house. Mortgage payments is $83,000 divided by 1,000. Now, the question doesn't go into this much detail, but did you notice, whoa, 9%? That might be the highest one we've done in all the homework and the hand-ins and everything. And that kind of makes sense because look at the situation. What's going on here? We got a university student. This is a young person. This is somebody who doesn't have a whole lot of years of good credit history, and it's like we're sharing the payments with 3 people. That's going to raise some red flags for a bank. So yeah, if I walked in to try to buy this house, I'd get a better rate than that because I'm a middle-aged man with a good job who has a good credit history. But this is a young kid. I mean, this seems so unfair. Like, what? Why do rich people get all the breaks in life? They get offered the lowest interest rate. Why? Because to a bank, they're less of a risk, right? The more of a risk you are, the more you're going to have to pay. So yeah, they hit poor Chad here with 9%. So I looked that one up, and woof, again, I don't think we've used a number this big in that spot, have we? So 8.89 is what I found. So the monthly payment was $737.87. And if I stop there, I'd lose for sure about half a mark on this one because it asks you to do something else. What do we do now? You divide it by 3 because how much each will pay if they're splitting it 3 ways. So the final answer will be $245.96 each per month. Haha. So there we go. All right, so let's take a look at number 5. Oh, sorry, question?
How many marks would get taken off of number 4 if you thought that meant annually for the mortgage?
Oh, I don't think okay, the question was, I'm sure the mic didn't pick it up, how much would I lose if I calculated it annually? How much will they pay? You know what, I don't think I'd take off anything, because I wouldn't interpret the question that way, but I don't know that you're wrong in interpreting it that way. So you took this number and times it by 12? Okay, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I wouldn't take anything off. I'd figure out that you had the right thing. Good question. All right, let's move on to 5. 5, no calculating involved. I'm just going to use my notes and try to remember our conversations in class and come up with, let's see if we can find out 2. It says, what are some? Some means more than one. See if you can come up with 2 things Charlotte could do to reduce how much interest she's paying, and come back in 2 minutes, 1 minute per thing. And we're back. Okay, Charlotte wants to reduce the amount of interest she pays in the mortgage. I'll take requests here. Anybody got an idea? What's the first thing she should think of doing? Yep. There we go. Make a larger down payment. That would work. Okay. We tried that. No more money. What else could she do? Yeah? Yeah, you know what? Shop around. I think one of our themes in this course has been bank is not your friend. Well, you're not their friend either, right? If you don't already owe them money, you could just say, well, I don't like the rate you're offering me. I'm going to go to your competitor unless you offer me a better one. You can do that. So try to negotiate a lower rate. That would work. Anybody got anything else? What do you got? Paying what's that? There you go. So what's the fancy word for number of years your mortgage is? Begins with an A. That's it. So ask for a shorter amortization. In other words, pay in fewer years. Right? Because even though your monthly payments get higher, the amount of interest you pay over the whole mortgage gets smaller. So that's kind of the biggest one that I had. So that's the 3 that I kind of popped into my head. So ask for a shorter, instead of paying a 25-year mortgage, pay a 20. You'll pay less interest. It means you pay more every month, but if you can afford it, in the long run, you've saved money. Okay, so that's number 5. Number 6, if you haven't tried number 6 yet, you can get started on it. Pause the video. And here we go. We're going to go through number 6. So the monthly payment, we've seen this calculation a bunch of times, is $350,000 minus $50,000, which is $300,000, divided by 1,000 times, and I looked up on the table, 6.44. So that's going to be a monthly payment of $1,932. Where does that number go? Payments. And that's the one number that doesn't change until, of course, it's time for your term to be up and you have to renegotiate your mortgage. So if it's for the first 5 years, the first 60 payments will all have that same payment amount. All right. How do we fill in the interest column? What do we do there? What formula do we use for that? Right. 1 month at a time, you're using the PERT formula. So my principal is $300,000. My rate, I already forgot what it is, 4.75, so change that to a decimal, 0.0475. And it's a 1/12 of the year. Okay, so I did this calculation already. You don't have to watch me punch buttons. It's $1,184.55. Now, does that go in all of these boxes like payment did? No, it only goes in the first one. So $1,184.50. And then how do I find principal again? Subtract the interest from the payment. So that's going to make this $744.50, right? So it's this one minus that one equals that one. How do I get the unpaid balance? Well, now that I know the principal amount, the amount that I've actually paid towards owning my house, I subtract it from that one and I add it to that one. So this will be 300,000 minus that number, which is 299, 255, 50. And this one is 50,000 plus 744. I can do that one without touching the calculator. 50,000, 744, 50. I actually sometimes leave this one till the very end and do all of these guys first, because the numbers that I want to use are already on my calculator screen now. Because this number here now, what do I do with that number now? Well, now that I have a new balance, that becomes my new principal. So my interest for payment 2 is, and I've already forgotten that number. What was it again? It was 299, 255, 50, and then the other two things stay the same, times the same rate, times 1/12 of the year, and that gets me my second interest payment. And if you're doing this right, what do you notice happens? You notice that you actually wrote the number down wrong. That's what you notice. This should have been a 7. Can you change that? Sorry about that. This one should be a 4, and this should be a 55. Sorry. I was looking at my own answers, and I read the wrong place. Anyway, if you're doing this right, you'll notice this number should go down very slightly. And it did, like $3. I know that doesn't seem like much, but remember, it's, you know, what is this, a 25-year mortgage? I can't remember. 20-year mortgage. So over 20 years, 20 times 12, 240 payments, it'll add up. Now I do the subtract again, and I get 747, and again, this should be a little bit higher than it was before, and it is. And then I minus this number from this number, and get 298, 508, 05. And then I take this principal and I add it to my new equity. And now I'm over the 51,000 mark, 51,491, 95. Okay, now that you've seen me do a couple of lines, if you want to pause the video and try the third line yourself, I'll give my guys in class here a minute to try it themselves. We're back. So the numbers turned out to be 1181.59, and I had somebody in the morning class go, oh, like I'm off by a cent. Do you care? Not really, because that could be that maybe you rounded a number earlier than I did. If you're off by 1 or 2 cents, I don't care. That's fine. And then this number ended up being 750.41, and then when I minus this number from that number, I get 297. Oops, I didn't mean to put a decimal there. Yeah. 297, 757, and 64. And this one is 52, 242, 36. Now, notice that it wants totals. So you just add these three numbers up, and that's how much interest you have paid in your first 3 mortgage payments. $3,553.64. And this number here is how much of the house you have now purchased in your monthly payments. And there's the 2 total numbers. All right. There's the amortization table. Okay. Let's move on to, I guess this would be now lesson 4. No, this would be lesson 3. Gdsr. Okay, do you remember how to do a Gdsr calculation? This one should be quick. It's not a big calculation. I'll give the class a minute. Try it at home on your own. And we're back. Gdsr equals, so monthly mortgage payment, 700, goes there. Plus monthly property taxes goes there. Would it matter if I mixed up the order of the 3 things I'm adding? No, so it's not even, there's no risk in that even. 225 goes here, divided by, I kind of made that bracket too big. Let me fix that. There we go. Divided by gross monthly income, 3,500, times by 100, and I'll save you the button punching. Oops, dollar. It's a percent. And I got, when I did it, I got 32.29%. So don't forget to answer the actual question. Is this a yes or a no? It's a no. Therefore, everybody knows what therefore means, right? 3 dots. No, because GDSR is bigger than 32%. Now, it's not bigger by much, but that would do it. That would fail you. Question?
If you do, sorry for all the questions.
That's all good.
If you rounded up to 32.3, would you get marks taken off?
No, it doesn't really say where. Nah. The question was, where do you round a percent? I'd say 1, 2. I mean, my rule of thumb is 2 decimals unless it tells me otherwise. So it didn't say in the question, so 2's good. But 1's fine too. All right. Next, careful with this one. It's like, hey, we didn't have one like this in our homework. Yeah, I know. We want to see if you can do a little bit of problem solving here. I'll give you 2 minutes for this one. So guys at home, give this one a try. See what happens. Low on time. All right, so I'm going to set this up. See, this time, I know the GDSR. I'm going to use the maximum of 32, and I know that my monthly payments are $873 for the mortgage and $232 for my property taxes and $215 for my utilities heating bill, and divide that by, oh, that's the number I don't know this time. Oh, and don't forget it's times by 100 for this formula, right? So, I've said this a few times in this course, right? Unlike our friends in Applied and Pre-Cal, we don't do a ton of algebra, but it pops up once in a while. This is algebra. And they gave me a hint. Rearrange my equation. What's the rearrange that needs to happen here? What am I going to do? The x is going to go where? The x and the 32, very good, are going to switch spots. So you might want to add these numbers together first. I don't actually, when I was doing my work, I didn't bother to do that. So what is that? 873 plus 232 plus 215. So that's 1320. So that's what this bracket adds up to. But the 32 and the x switch spots. You can call that cross multiplying if you like. That's what a lot of people call it when they do algebra, right? But that's the way that this has to work. So when I do that calculation, it turns out that is $4,125 a month. So if this person wants to buy that house, that's how much they have to make every month. That's, let's see, times that by 12. 4125 times 12. That's, it doesn't ask this, but that's $49,500 a year. If this was how much does this person make an hour, if they're a waged employee, take 4125, divide it by, there's about 20 work days in a month, about 8 hours a day. That is about $25.78 an hour. And there's a lot of people out there that don't make that an hour. So yeah, being able to afford a house usually requires a good job, kind of maybe the better, certainly better than a minimum wage job. Question? You got this number though?
Yeah, I got the number.
Then you just did a different way of doing your algebra. You just did it in a different order. As long as you came up with the same number, I'm fine with that. Okay? All right. Now, number 9 looks a lot like number 8. And we'll just go through it together. It's got one trick to it. What's the trick? What do you notice? There you go. They tell me my property taxes annually and my annual income. So these two numbers here need to get divided by 12. And when I do that, my GDSR will be, so that'll be, let's see, my monthly payment still, it still says a monthly payment, so that's still $1,600. But now my annual property taxes are $39.60 divided by 12, which turns out to be $330. And it does tell me my monthly heating cost, so that one's still monthly. And if I take the annual income and I divide it by 12, I get $5,500. And let's see, does this one work? Turns out this one is 38.36%. Can she afford this house? Don't forget to answer that question on the test tomorrow. No. Boy, we're 0 for 2 for these people. Oh, thank you. Because I was thinking ahead to the number I was going to look at. Thanks for noticing that. That should be 100. Good eye. So the answer is no again. Ugh. 2 no's. How come? If I asked you why do they get no? Because what does this number have to be again? That's right. Gdsr SR has to be less than 32%. And it's not. Actually, I guess it could be equal. Less than or equal to 30%. And the answer is no. Now, what can she do to lower her GDSR? Well, I guess the first thing she could do is find a cheaper house, buy something less expensive, or you could, again, lower this monthly payment by, I'll just say, what number was that where we tried to find lower monthly payments? C number 5. Right? Any of the answers we put on number 5 would work for this one. Right? To lower that monthly payment so that this number goes down. Because you can't do much about that. You probably couldn't do much about that. I guess you could try to make your house more energy efficient, but if you haven't bought it yet, you're not allowed to do that. All right, so that was number 9. Number 10's a neat question. We'll give you a couple minutes to think about number 10. We haven't asked one like this before, so I'll give people a couple minutes to ponder this one. Guys at home, give it a try. There we go, we're back. Okay, so step 1. Does Jeremy have enough saved up to cover all this? He has $5,000. No. The total here, I added it all up, is $7,230. So he is over budget by, minus 5,000, $2,230. So which things could he put off to save that? Well, let's check off the ones he can't put off. You can't put off your home inspection. You can't put off your appraisal fee. You can't put off your lawyer fee. Moving, I mean, you got to get there. And now there's somebody this morning said, well, then I'll just get friends to help me move. Well, what if you had no choice but to rent a vehicle? So I'm going to say for most people, this one probably can't be avoided. I can't call up the government and say, you know what, I'm a little short, a little broke right now. I'll pay my taxes later. No, they don't. That doesn't happen. So what are we left with? Ooh, gas hookup? Well, if it's the winter, I mean, my pipes will freeze. I guess I have to pay that. Okay, now what are we left with? Assuming I don't have a dog that I gotta keep from getting run over, I'll get the fence built next year. It'd be nice to have a nice, pretty yard, but do I need it right this minute? Let's put off landscaping. I had some people going, I can go without a phone and I can go without cable. Yeah, but those are $80 together. They're not making much of a difference. I got to cut something else big. These two together don't add up to that. I need something else big. Okay, painting could wait, but that's again not big. I think I'm going to have to wait on air conditioning. I'm just going to have to suffer through a summer or two. Some of you are like, yeah, you baby. I come from a place way hotter than this. Yeah, well, I'm a baby. I like minus 30 more than plus 30. I do. I don't mind the cold. The cold's fine. Just put on a parka. Anyway, that's what I would do. If you do that, if you minus all those, then you'd be under budget and you'd be good. And I think it'd be very hard to argue for any of the ones we put X's on as being things that we could put off. You can't for some of them for sure. All right, last but certainly not least, the most complicated thing we did this unit. Let's see if in 2 minutes you can do a land transfer tax. On your mark, get set, go. And we're back. All right, so on the next 60,000, you should know that 1% of 60,000 is $600. And if we go, since this is more than 200,000, you know that you will for sure have another 50,000 left. 1.5%. Some people just have this number remembered. It'd be in your notes, and you get to use your notes. $750. But then you have to figure out what 2% of the excess is, which would be $53,000. And if you multiply that out, you get $1,060. Add it all up. Your land transfer tax bill is $2,410. And then that just leaves one last question, and I'm not going to bother talking about it because all you have to do is find any 5 from your notes. I think there's over a dozen of them. So as long as you took good notes and you remembered stuff we talked about in class, that should be pretty easy. So that is the review. Good luck on the test.